recommendation. Andrew, would you like to move that?
Yep, I'm happy to move it.
And seconded by Paul. Yanni, did you have questions?
Yeah, I just thought given the comments that were made in the deputation that it might be quite useful to get the port to come and brief the councillors over what they're doing. And I also wondered
There's no point looking around the room because I can't invite them to the table.
No, I was just just wondering around whether maybe actually meeting with the directors and the local community board who are affected would be quite useful.
I'd like to hear from Andrew first because he's on the board and he did indicate that he was going to respond to these issues when it came to the receipt of the report.
Indeed, yes. I mean, I'll preface by making a comment that was made in the deputation, maybe slightly differently, but with the same effect. As long as there's been a port of Lyttelton, there's been a town of Lyttelton, and vice versa. The port and town exist side by side and need to exist side by side. And that means that the port management and the port governance and the community and the community board and other community organisations need to be able to communicate and engage well with each other. Certainly the comments that were made in the deputation indicated that there are times when that engagement isn't as good as it could be, and that's really based on a history, I think, of engagement not has been as good as it could be as well. So the deputation particularly related to the style and design, the urban design for Dampier Bay. And the way I read the deputation, the way I heard the deputation was more around process than substance, and it was around the fact that the port had interpreted this part of the recovery plan as bringing this set of guidelines, a set of design guidelines forward themselves, without too much in the way of collaborative consultation with council and with no consultation really with the community, other than the consultation that had happened prior to the recovery plan being adopted. And the issue that was raised in the deputation really was that the community board, and I think anecdotally to a large extent the community, are disappointed that they weren't involved at the front end of that process, given the issues that were raised in the recovery plan consultations and subsequent hearings and so on, around Dampier Bay being seen as a possible duplicate town centre to the existing Lyttelton town centre, the design of Dampier Bay having an effect visually on that part of Lyttelton and the nature of historic heritage homes being quite close by, and also just the way that Dampier Bay might function, might be used, might be accessed, and so on. And there's a lot of conversation in the community around that. And I think the view of the community was very much that they would like to be engaged up front in any process that talked about the design of the Dampier Bay area. And there's disappointment been expressed obviously through the deputation today and in other ways that hasn't occurred. That then speaks to a wider issue of engagement between the community and the port has not been the best for a long time, and I guess there exists an environment where the community kind of interpret bad faith to a lot of the initiatives the port come up with. There's an overriding conversation that goes on in Lyttelton around the recovery plan, which goes something like, well, the port will get what they want, they'll get their reclamation, but then the public realm benefits will probably be harder to get and may actually not be forthcoming. That may not actually be a genuine view on where the recovery plan's at, but it's influenced by the way that relationship has run for the last 20, 30 or more years. So I think that probably sums up the point that Christine was making in the deputation this morning. Where we've got to with the recovery plan is that Council on a number of issues has continued to take quite a staunch approach to a more relaxed approach that the port have taken to some of the directives and outcomes under the recovery plan. And again, that really is just making sure that the port do what they're meant to do and what they're committed to do under the various sections of the recovery plan, so that we don't get to a situation where the public realm is diluted, or some of the public realm actions don't act in a way that we would have expected. So it's really against that background that we receive this update. The Recovery Plan Working Party have continued to direct staff that what we expect to see in recovery plan outcomes for the community, as described, as timed in the recovery plan, and that we continue to work with the port on the assumption that they're also motivated to deliver in that way. There have been areas where the port sent signals that they're wanting to push timelines out and maybe dilute things a little bit. So maybe that's helpful just by way of linking the comments that were made in the deputation to the report that we've got in front of us.
So, Ray.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks. Could you just refresh our memory to who's on the working party?
So there are 3 councillors on the working party, myself, Paul Lonsdale and Jimmy Chen, and there are 3 community board members, Christine Wilson, who made the deputation today, Paula Smith, the chair of the board, and Anne Jolliffe, who's another board member.
Right. And how do we engage with the port?
We have really engaged, so the working party has rather more met with staff and met with ECAN as well, actually, on a number of occasions, to, I guess, direct staff and to determine how we deal with the matters that are directed in the recovery plan, rather than meeting directly with the port. There have been presentations from the port to the community board and the working party, which have been useful, but a lot of the work we're doing over the urban design issues, or on some of the other access issues, have really been advising our staff on how they react to various issues that have been put up by company staff. So on an office level, we haven't had a governance relationship with the port in any way, no.
Well, perhaps that might be something to think about.
I think that might be useful. Would you like to comment, Richard? Or?
Other than to say that, I think it's important that the port recovery and working party continues, but it, like you say, it's not really an opportunity to engage externally. It's more been staff governance, and we have gone about and provided that feedback to the port, but I would imagine to get progress it probably needs to be at a more senior level.
Meeting with the board of the port, small them up, say like a meeting.
I would encourage the port, given Andrew describes it, the potential for divergence in positions on some significant issues. We've encouraged the port to ensure that both continues to increase its engagement with the community and commences its engagement with both the community board and council.
Yeah. I mean, I think, there's elements of relationship building that go both ways. I do recall, that one comment that was made about might have been the master plan for the Lyttelton community, which completely ignored the numbers of people that worked on the port when they referred to the numbers of people who were in Lyttelton. And so the disengagement sort of seemed to be quite structural and fundamental, and actually building that relationship. And I guess in the land use recovery plan context, the Lyttelton recovery plan, it was very much a slightly more legalistic positions. But now it's time to really build community engagement again.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first made comments when the recovery plan was first announced, I talked about this being an opportunity for the port and the community to work together to get the best for Lyttelton. And maybe now that we've gone through the initial phases of how the various directions in the recovery plan are going to be handled, it might be time for a meeting between the working group and appropriate people from the port to progress that discussion. Maybe we've got a meeting coming up of the working party next week. It might be good for us to talk about what we want on the agenda for that meeting and set it up at that time.
Yeah. Ellie.
Andrew, you sit on the cruise berth working party group as well, which is very informal and has no delegations or anything. But there's nothing that you can see that your working group is doing as far as the recovery plan goes that is working past or missing anything that the cruise berth working party's doing. I hate that to be happening, but I'm just assuming with you being on both that we're on the same.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not aware of anything where we talk past each other. I see myself as the link between those two groups.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder whether this isn't a good chance. Because the other thing that I took from what Christine said, and I'm a former Lyttelton resident myself, was, but not from a child, but I do have childhood memories of going down to Lyttelton. And what she spoke of was this incredible sense of loss of connection with the waterfront itself. And that is something that there is an ambition to restore in the Lyttelton recovery plan. And it's very much, not very much a port issue, but a community issue in that regard.
And can I just comment the timeline here? Because, going down to get the ferry from Lyttelton to Diamond Harbour, each time you catch it, it's either in a different place or there's a different maze system to get there. It's very difficult to figure out where to actually go to get that boat. And if we're trying to enhance the economic opportunities and the tourism opportunities for Diamond Harbour, I see this as a barrier, which probably won't be rectified until this plan is implemented. Would I be right there?
Those decisions will be made.
Yeah.
Yes, but what to do in the meantime? I just think it's
the recovery plan process, I support the recovery plan process, which is why I'm happy to support the resolution. Because, if you didn't have this process, you would have multiple years of resource consent applications and multiple years of appeals, and I don't know when we'd actually start with the rebuild of the port if we went to a normal, less than fast-track process.
Well, that's true. I agree with that.
We would remember the initial letter that requested the recovery plan and the number of consents that would be required to achieve the same as the recovery plan does if we'd done that in business as usual environment. But just to comment on that ferry terminal, the level of amenity provided by the Diamond Harbour ferry terminal has been a huge concern to both Lyttelton and Diamond Harbour for a very long time, long before any recovery plan was even thought of.
And it probably will continue.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, I don't really know who to direct the question to, but since we've acquired 100% of the port, we've had no meeting with the directors. So at what stage do we get a briefing as the council, the governance level, about what the port?
That's not true. That's not true. The chair and the CEO took us out on the harbour and spent time briefing us, so that is that's available. And you can call up the chair any time and say we'd like a meeting and working parties, no problem.
Kellen and I had a meeting with them about a week or so ago.
Yeah, so my understanding was there was an initial meeting, and then the idea was that they would come and actually brief the kind of strategic thinking around going forward. And we got the site visit, but we didn't really get the in-depth kind of briefing around, here's how much expenditure is happening, here's on what, here's the kind of strategic thinking about where things are happening with ports going forward.
That's it. We do it. You're on the CCA now, so you should
Just
know
going to say you're on
we
the
do
board
get, we do get
CCA.
the statement of intents. It's all in the report. You can take time to read
I
it.
read all of their reports. So, but anyway, the thing is that I think that what Christine was asking for and what Andrew has really dug up in his comments is to get that relationship building exercise happening at the local level. Certainly, Carleen and I met with the Chief Executive and the Chair about a week ago, and we do intend to bring them in for a briefing, but it's a question of organising time frames. We've got our annual plan to get through, so it is going to happen.
And the only other point I wanted to raise was, if you look at what the port's doing now, it is wider than just Lyttelton. Yes, Lyttelton does have a considerable area of impact, and that's certainly acknowledged. There's certainly an impact in Woolston. There's certainly going to be
the Lyttelton Port Recovery Plan is a statutory document which we're receiving an update on. So when we discuss the wider issue with the Lyttelton Port Company, then fine. But I think that's really, I think we've had enough on this. And I will go to the point of, have we got a mover and a seconder? We have, and I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That carries. Council properties for review.